Hi, everyone. I am Ben Wertschafter. I came to Apex to improve my score on the executive assessment exam, and I did just that, getting a score of 157 with the help of the Apex team. So I came to Apex for help on really getting back to the fundamentals, figuring out some of the gaps that I had, as well as understanding some problem-solving skills, ways to address the solutions faster. And that's exactly what happened. I was able to see problems, understand exactly what the root of the problems were, and solve them. And timing became a non-issue. I finished with at least 2 minutes left on the math portion, which was unheard of before I came to Apex. Obviously, the score was a huge component of this. I was struggling on the math side of this. I felt comfortable on the quantitative side and the reading English comprehension side, but math was consistently my lowest score in the practice. And it ended up being a pair with everything else, which brought my score up tremendously. So first and foremost, it was 100% worth the time. Outside of that, Mike Diamond, who I believe is one of the founders or the leaders at Apex, was an invaluable resource to me. He was just completely understood the process, made me very comfortable with working with Apex. Never was, forceful in terms of whether or not I was going to use Apex, but even despite he took time to kind of walk me through his experience of applying, I hadn't spoken to anyone else who really had his background, his knowledge. And to be honest, every time I spoke to him at the end of those calls, I just felt so much better about my position and the things that I was supposed to do. So I can't thank him and the team enough. The ease of working with Apex is the thing I like the most. I think some of these programs, they really kind of force things down your throat. That was never the scenario. It really was to learn at my own pace and figure out the things that I needed. And I was amazed by how much I was able to actually take in a very short period of time. I was a little concerned about that. And Marvin immediately was able to figure out what my immediate gaps were. And he knew just right off the bat how he helped me improve my score, both from a fundamental score improvement perspective, but also just really understanding these problems and not feeling like I was just learning for the test, which I think is not just valuable for the test, but as I move into my executive MBA program. Programs like these are valuable in time, and I wanted to make sure that I was prepared to receive the information. So I wanted to make sure that I had a solid enough base that I could really understand. I feel like it was 100% worth it, and I should have come to Apex earlier than I did. I possibly could have gotten an even higher score. I did reach out to 2 or 3 programs, and Mike immediately reached out trying to set up a time, wanting to do a deep dive into what I was looking for. And he was by far the most proactive out of any of the programs. And I felt very at ease with him right off the bat. And then understanding the success that Apex has had, it made me confident that this was the team, the resource that I wanted to work with. How quickly Marvin was able to figure out some of the things that I was missing in the problem-solving spectrum. He really understood right off the bat after going through, I think, 5 or 6 questions. There were areas he was like, okay, you're missing just this little element that would speed this up. And just his ability to kind of understand where I was in the process. I was incredibly happy about that because I completely agreed with his assessment right off the bat. I was also just really surprised at how much time Mike Diamond took to spend time with me on just the overall process. That was not my expectation. It really was specifically around some of the math fundamentals, but he was willing to share his understanding of this whole process. And I was very grateful every time I spoke with him. I would absolutely recommend Apex to anyone that was studying for the executive assessment, the GMAT, any of these exams that require information that you probably haven't spent much time around in the last decade. They are able to really teach the fundamentals in a way that it expands to multiple different question types. And I've already started using some of these things in my day-to-day work, which I'm grateful that I was able to relearn some of these items. This is not an issue of not understanding math. This is just an issue of relearning some of the things that you learned in school. And they do it in such a fantastic way that makes it very accessible and very easy to use for other applications.